Good day, Mr. Lazar Pinkanchin. I would like to talk today about Australia, how we can get there and what kind of job we can start, and why Australia is the best place to go to work there, to study maybe, and to live. Please share about it some more information. But before starting this, I would like to know your website, as I understand that you are a registered migration agent. Please share it with our followers.
Thank you. Probably the first thing I would like to do is to just quickly, I would like to show people where they can check if a business or an agent is registered in Australia to be an agent. So anyone can visit this Australian site. It's part of the Office of the Migration Agent Registration Authority. You can click this section here, search for an agent, and then you can put the agent's name. In my case, you can put my first name, do a search, and you can see my name and my company. You can also click on the link over here and you can get more information about me, my registration address. This is my registration number, and that was the last time when my registration was renewed for the last time. So anytime you deal with an Australian agent, it's a good idea to make sure that they are registered. If they're not registered and they are in Australia, so either if they're not a registered migration agent or if they're not a lawyer, they are not allowed to provide immigration assistance in Australia. Okay, so that was just the start. Now, in terms of your first question, at the moment, Australia needs a lot of workers.
And what kind of workers exactly you can tell us?
Well, overall, there's a need across the whole economy. However, there are certain positions that the government has designated as critical, and the most critical of those for short-term work, so up to 1 year, I guess, are listed in a special visa that was created during the pandemic. And the type of professions would be anything to do with food, agriculture, aged care, childcare, anything to do with medical spheres as well. So you can have a look at agriculture, food processing, healthcare, aged care, disability care, childcare, tourism and hospitality. So tourism and hospitality could include anything from chefs, cooks, dishwashers, waiters, bar staff, cafe, anyone that works in a coffee shop. However, it is also possible to get this visa, and because there's such a shortage of workers, even if you don't work in these sectors, it might be possible for you to get a work visa if you have someone to employ you. Now, we're not going to discuss the visas today.
Okay.
I'm just telling you that those are probably the most in-demand fields. And most of those don't really, I mean, with the exception of healthcare, I guess, and childcare and disability, I mean, agriculture could be just a farmhand. So you could be helping pick strawberries or apples or anything like that. Same as the tourism and hospitality. You don't really need qualifications for some of those jobs. You can be just a normal worker.
Well,
okay,
that
so
is
you don't
good.
need however, there are some strings attached to this visa. We're not going to discuss them today. At the same time, there is some changes that were made with the student visas as well. Usually, if you come to Australia on a student visa, which is this visa over here, you have the ability to work 40 hours a fortnight, which means 40 hours every 2 weeks. However, because of the pandemic, now Australia has gone out of the pandemic, out of the lockdowns, there's such a demand for workers that those restrictions were removed. So you could work unlimited hours for the most part. So this is something that just shows you how much workers are needed in Australia at the moment. So this is the announcement. effective immediately, the Australian government is temporarily extending working hours for student visa holders. Right? This announcement was made a few months ago. So a few months ago, this announcement came out, which allows people to work more than the usual limited hours. Now, if we look at some articles, this is from the BBC. Yeah, it's famous news source, Australian jobs. So this is Australian jobs. The staffing issue is impossible. So employers are struggling to find someone to hire in their businesses. Now, these are just small examples, but if we go through the article, you can notice we discussed hospitality. It's trying to come back. Yeah, the company is desperate for staff. Yeah, some of them even willing to pay for flights to Australia. Right? So some companies are desperate to find workers. They're willing to pay for someone to fly in from another country to work for them. Well, that was especially the case when the borders opened.
Weird.
Yeah, if we look at another article, Australia needs more workers. So if we have a look at this as well, this was a study. So 1,600 business owners were interviewed, and that was November to December last year. And they all speak of labor shortages, of workers. Yeah, it's a huge demand for workers across all industries, or most industries anyway. And this is another article. This is from the Australian site. Right. Again, that's towards the end of the last year. At that point, there were 333,000 job vacancies. Okay, at that point of time when this article was written. Now, if we look at wages in Australia, these are just statistics. This comes from the official site. This is the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Okay, everyone can go and look at this information. abs.gov.au. You can see that it's a government website, and you have some information about wages and salaries. Now, this was published on the 24th of February this year, so it's fairly recent. And you can see the changes in income, and you can see the breakdown between male and female earnings. Okay, so these are average weekly ordinary time earnings. Okay, so that's per week. Then we can go onto this side as well, which is a very popular site to look at average wages. This is overall the average in Australia. Now, some people who visit Australia and are not fluent in English, say for example, a person who would like to study English, right?
Yeah. Here we have, sorry for interrupting, here we have two types of people, like a young generation and old generation. It means people who are about 40 years, maybe under 35, like this. Some people, yes, still know English. Now young generation knows it very well, because majority of them started studying in the international universities, or they just go to some courses in order to know English more. Please talk about for two type of generation. It means people who doesn't know English, but they have skills, extra skills they learned. Maybe they're even professional, but unfortunately their English knowledge is lower than it's expected, than it's required. What you recommend for these people who have lower English knowledge, how they can do, how they can find a job, suitable job for them?
Okay, it depends on it depends on what their aim is. If they want to study English in Australia, and while they're improving their English, being an Uber driver or a delivery person is a common job that international students, and especially the ones that don't speak English to a high enough level, can do. This is just a small breakdown of how much an Uber driver can expect to earn. in
It is per
Australia.
hour.
Usually it's per hour, yeah, that's an hourly rate. Can you see the screen? The highlighted area?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so this is an average hourly rate. Now there's different types of Uber deliveries. You have people that deliver on bicycles, electric bikes. You have people that deliver probably on scooters. I'm not too familiar with this industry. I'm just giving you examples. Some people can deliver with cars. So I guess depending on how fast you can make a delivery, that would sort of determine how much money you can make, because you're being paid by the delivery. So I guess there's going to be a big range of how much a person can make. But this could be a possible job for someone that has just arrived, that wants to study English and wants to supplement their income on the side. Apart from that, with no English, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to find employment. I mean, it's going to be low-skill jobs like washing dishes in cafes or restaurants, possibly some construction labor job, but they do have to have some basic English. Otherwise, probably this would be one of the best jobs you could do, delivery. So yeah, this is probably the best. If a person does speak English, they have much more opportunities. They can choose. I mean, of course, if they have no skills, probably this would also be an initially good job for them, even if they do speak good English, because other than that, they'll be working in non-skilled areas, again, cafes and restaurants or cleaners. But if you can combine English plus some sort of a skill, you'll be able to find a different job.
Okay, as I understand, you mentioned about studying in the language course. How much time does I need? For example, imagine I don't know English English language, and I want to study there as a student. How much time do I need to take to learn English language?
That would depend on each person. It depends how quickly they can pick up the material. It depends how much English they come with from the beginning. Usually it's not uncommon for a person to come to study for up to 1 year. Yeah, up to 1 year, but it really depends on their individual circumstances. Yeah.
Okay, clear. And what do you think? As I know that you are living in Australia, and what is the best place to live in Australia?
That would depend again on a person's preferences. However, most of the schools and the colleges and the universities are both in Sydney and Melbourne. And also Sydney and Melbourne have the most amount of job opportunities. So from the beginning, probably Sydney or Melbourne would be the best options. Also, there's quite a lot of international students in both of those cities, and it would be easier for someone to, I guess, find friends and probably find work as well. In addition to that, I guess this is just a side about the lifestyle in Australia. It's more relaxed than other countries, but apart from that, I guess the wages in those two cities are higher as well, in comparison to. So this is in Sydney. We looked at that table before. So probably Sydney will be one of the best places to come in at the beginning. And after that, of course, if you like regional areas, you can move into a regional area.
And why do you think Australia is a good place to live?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, I guess, but if you can have a look, we can have a look at some statistics. I think that's the best way to sort of decide it. Now, this is a site from the Australian government. You can see Australia here, .gov.au, globalaustralia.gov.au, a great place to live. Now, these are just some things that people say about Australia. It's a safe country to live in, friendly, it's relaxed, easy to achieve work-life balance, not too much work. I mean, you don't have to work too much so that you can have a good life. But when we go a bit lower, you can see that Australia has a very good healthcare system.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Australia is ranked third in the world in terms of healthcare system, and second in the world for health security. So that's a very high level of healthcare. And now a lot of the healthcare, or most of the healthcare in Australia, in a public hospital is for free. So it doesn't cost you anything to go to the doctor, unless you have to stay over the hospital or some specialized surgeries. But you can have private health insurance for that. Everyone can use it, but if you want to use it for free, you have to be a citizen or a permanent resident. So for international students, for example, just giving an example, international students need to have an insurance, and then that insurance would pay for most of the fees if they go to see a doctor or if they go to the hospital. That would depend on their cover. But again, if they have an insurance, it's quite affordable. It's much cheaper than, for example, American doctor visits. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So as I said, Australia is quite safe, especially when compared to other nations in Europe and even in America. There's so much crime. Australia is quite safe. When we go down, now those are some other statistics. You can see the sources here as well. Australia ranks number 2 for youth well-being. So that's for young generation. Human development is number 8. Overall, there's other statistics and other links people can have a look on their own. But Australia has a high living standard, good wages, safe, good healthcare system, very good weather. In some parts you have sunshine, throughout the whole year. You have beaches, you have nature. So there's many reasons. People can do their own research as well.
Yeah, of course, it sounds so nice to hear about that.
Yeah, it's a good place. It's a good place to live.
Okay, in that case, let's finish today our video, and I hope next time we'll have a chance to meet with you again, talk about other things about Australia.
Yep, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time and attention.